What's good, everybody? Back once again, and another edition. I was like, I guess at this point it might be like a little daily edition. I don't know. Hornets talk. Yeah, I was like, I said it. Um, we've been. I was like, you know, drafts over, so we got our people. Um, but there's more so about like a more of an off season thing, but it's just really just wondering what is the direction of the Hornets. Like we got a lot of youth on the team, and I was like, as should be. I was like our star player. I was like, dude barely could drink. You know what I mean? So within saying that, I was like, I know how like he's able to drink, but in saying that, it's really wondering. I think that we should get a veteran, but I don't actually know that a veteran really worth snatching up. And what I mean is that like I don't think we're gonna keep Oubre. I'm pretty sure that he's gonna go off somewhere else. I don't even think uh it's not that there's not no money for him, but it's more so of like, does he really fit anymore? And it's really weird because Oubre is still young. Um, and I was like, he's been fun with the Hornets. I was like Tsunami Poppy, I guess. What he was like with the Warriors and stuff like that. They had that whole commercial, but I was like, the veterans really are kind of like Terry and Hayward, but Hayward is going to be out either due to his contract or getting traded for some assets or something. And it's sort of the same with Rozier. I was like, I know he starts that 3 year extension, but I think that he is still talented enough where that contract won't really matter in this situation, especially how a lot of the contending teams need pieces. And I was like, he could. I was like, he's a dynamic scorer in a way where he could get inside, outside. I was like, I was like, sometimes he can be streaky, but you're going to at least get 15 to 20 from him. I was like, well, I mean, like if he's on a good team, like if he's on like an actual contending team, that's what you can. I was like, but he can explode for more. But with our team, he has to be more because he's really second, third fiddle. Uh, but it's something to try to figure out. Okay, okay, cool. You just got Brandon Miller. I was like, put him in. He's not going anywhere. I don't think he'll be like how our last grouping of first round picks. Outside. I was like Mark Williams is. I think Mark Williams is going to be fine. Cause I was like, at worst, that he at least is going to be like a defensive big. To me, I was like his floor to me is Tyson Chandler. You know what I mean? Where it's just like cool rebounding, blocks, screens, putbacks. Uh, him being sort of taller than everybody, he's going to get some pretty easy baskets. But and then you hope that maybe he could be more. But even if he's that, if you hit on Brandon Miller the way we think Brandon Miller can be, I was like, it's really rocky to see what going to be with Bridges because he's going to come back and play. But as far as him getting like a long term contract, we'll see. And LaMelo, you got Nick Smith, who I think is going to come. He's going to be scoring, and then you just got to figure out everybody else. To me, I was like okay, so PJ is another big component of this of what does he get on the market. Now, I think because of how the CBA just happened and uh and it being I was like, so that would seem like maybe PJ won't get the money that maybe he thought or something like that we're getting. But at the same time, uh I was like, at the same time though, it's a weak free agency class. So does someone try to pull the trigger on PJ to snatch him away? Because I don't. I was like, and this sort of thing that sucks is that I feel like the CBA is like it's pros and cons to it. Of like cons is that people ain't gonna get the money they used to be getting. I think that's gonna change. But uh, pro is I guess you might be able to keep some people a lot better. Because I was like, if they're about that, if they're talented, actually, actually they're like LaMelo, you're gonna get the max. But somebody like PJ, to me, PJ really is just sort of like Cam Johnson to me, really with Brooklyn Nets, where it was like a guy that could give you shots. Uh, I was like decent on defense. I think Cam Johnson's a little bit better, like man to man defense, but I think Washington has him on like blocks and like rebound and stuff like that. He's a little bit more active there. Um, but do you want to pay? I was like, you got LaMelo, he's gonna get maxed out. But if PJ somebody that you want to do 20 mil a year for, and I mean I don't necessarily know, but when you replace like Charlotte, you really don't have no leverage there. Like you don't like you did this ain't no hardcore like GM that's like go see what you get on the open market or like all right bye. I don't think you're gonna get that from Kupchak. So I'm just always afraid of like that time when where you had like Marvin Williams and Cody Zeller and MKG and like you had so many like role players, mediocre players signed to big contracts and long contracts that it sort of stifled the Hornet for a long time to where you couldn't put anything else around Kemba anymore. And I was like, Jefferson was was done. You didn't hit on none of your draft picks. And to be honest, I was like, not that I don't think the Hornets have hit on their draft pick, and I don't think we have, but I don't know if we have the development of doing so. I was like, and granted, some of it is the coaching, Clifford not throwing them in, something like that, or I always mess up his name, Barangno. I was like not really being able to hold the team a certain way. Uh, and it ain't like some of the players ain't also stifle their own stuff, like Bug Knight or Monk or whatever like that. But when some of the players have gone to other teams, which maybe that's what it takes, a little change of scenery, something to wake you up or whatever. But they've done a little bit better, and also too we've been picking nothing mainly but like guards for the like longest or whatever. And that's we seem to be fine of like the secondary like squad of like your second round picks. I was like, oh, we get those developed later round picks a little bit. But I was like Cody Mark gonna come. I was like is gonna come back and be able to play. I think I was like they signed him to a contract last year, so I was like I think he's fine. The question really, to be honest, is do you want PJ if he's too high? I think if he's at 20 million, whoever signs him, you gotta just let him go. I think that's how it is. You just gotta let him go. But the problem, I think, but then that will have to be is Thor and Kai Jones able to take another step. Now I think they both have really good potential. I just don't know if they're ever going to really reach it. Like to me, like Kai Jones, 6'10", athletic like that, he should be your 4-5. 5 in small lineup, 4 if you want to go big. But if he could get enough of a 3, then I feel like getting rid of PJ would have been a little bit easier for people to do, because I was like, I mean, everybody. I was like, at this point, he's like, he just really trying to go to the basket or whatever, and he crazy athletic. But I was like, for him how he had to play, I was like, handled in his shot is gonna have to be a lot better. Thor, to me, to me, he sort of reminded me a little bit of I mean, obviously not exactly, but somebody I was thinking of is like Travis Outlaw. I don't know if anybody really remember him, like, but he was like 6'9", can shoot. You could see it was there. Like his potential, I was like potential of what he could be was there. but he never clicked it together except for in the contract year. Then he got paid, and he was nothing really after that. But Thor being like 6'9", I was like, to me, he seems like he could be a really good jack of all trade person, where he's like, you could sort of have him 2, 3, 4. Uh, I was like, he can get his own. I was like, he can sort of create his own shot, get off the dribble, but he's so tall and like long that it's like, if the Hornets hits right on their player, or their player development right, you can have a crazy, ridiculous amount of length everywhere. Mark Williams, Kai Jones, Thor, Brandon Miller. I was like, Nick Smith is really big for a guard, where you could pretty much play any lineup and there's really no deficiency. Uh, like at least like defensive scheme wise and stuff like that. Offense, it just can't, like, it's like they need to improve on their shots. I was like, because the only people that you really got once Oubre gone is really LaMelo and I was like Miller and Rozier. I was like Hayward sort of. I mean, like I'm kind of trying to think. I'm like, Miller to me is like a 3-point shooter. He can do other stuff, but he could actually shoot threes. Uh, Whereas like Oubre, he's a 3-point shooter. That's what he wants to do. Whereas like Rozier and Hayward, they can shoot the three, but they're sort of a all around. They want to get in the mid range. I was like, they sort of was like Hayward. He'll do like a little bit. He'll sort of back you down, but he does a lot of like up face and stuff like that. Um, but it's really just about the direction. Cause I was like, do they sound about Dennis Smith? I was like, I think they should. He played really well for you. I think you should reward that. I was like, that way there still is some type of like, I mean, he's not a veteran in that way, but I was like, at least there's something like, you don't want to just like, all right, cool, Nick, you're in to do this. I was like, you still need somebody there. Theo gave them some good minutes. But I was like, I always feel like when you have a team that's like relatively this young, you sort of do need the veteran. The problem is there ain't really no veterans I could see that would join the team in this type of way that like. There are people I think of that I would like would be good for the team, but they're not gonna come to the team. Like Jay Crowder, I think he'd be a good fit for the squad, but I don't think. But I was like, at this stage of his career, he wants to play on a contending team. I was thinking of like somebody like maybe like Robin Lopez, since we got some of the young bigs, would be good to have back there. But I think like he was on Cleveland. I think he wanted to also just play on a contending team, and that's sort of the problem is that too many of the veterans are still. Like, you need a good enough veteran where he can earn minutes, but not to the point where it's like, I can be doing this on acting like a playoff roster. And it's just like, it's too early to try to scoop together some of your young people to see what you could really get for them. One, because I don't think you really gonna get anything for them, but also we're not at that point. We got to say, I feel like this year is a real tested year, and not that I don't think we like get into the play-in or something like that, but it's a real tested year of seeing how good Brandon Miller could be. If he has like a really good year that you're like, all right, like not just like, oh, okay, he's good, his rookie year was good, but I mean like showing where it's like, oh, yo, he really solidified that number 2 pick. Then next year, I feel like it's the bigger year of like getting people or seeing what's there for trade, upgrading the team. Mark Williams, if he takes his next step, don't have like no sophomore slump, which I mean he ain't get to play really much his rookie year. So, but I mean. I don't still see this team. Like I know everybody can be optimistic about being like, oh, we're definitely a playoff team. It's really like, okay, we're a playing team, but I feel like even that's a fight because I don't think the Hornets can be. If they're not going to be better than the 18 that were in the playoffs this year, the held 9. I guess how you depend on how you feel about Atlanta, and depend on how you feel about the Bulls makes that a little different, but I still think that I'm like, those teams still got bet like, and you know what? It depends on how LaMelo shapes out. Cause I feel like we should like Trey. I get Trey Young and Murray, but I feel like I'm like we could be better than them. The Bulls, you just don't know. Sometimes they're just like, oh man, they're really disappointed. And then sometimes you're like, oh, finally, that ensemble crew that they paying all this money to is doing something. But I mean, like, and the Magic and Indiana's going to be there, and it's like, are we going to be? Well, I feel like that's where we're really going to be around. It's around there, like where the like young teams that's like, all right, cool. Now do they play and they can take another step? Halliburton staying healthy and throughout the whole time, and with his crew, do they make a move? You know, Orlando, do that young group, do they take that extra step? I mean, it was already sort of close there anyway. But we're a playing team if LaMelo stays healthy. It's just, is that enough to guarantee being in the playing spot and having a chance to play? Yeah, I was like, yeah, there's really nobody that I can really think of other than just really running it back with the crew and hoping everybody stays healthy and hopefully development happens. I also think that this is like I said, it's a tested year, so this also tells me that, to me, that this is Clifford's this is his last year with the team, and then they're going to get somebody to really come in and take that next push and that next step, all those things. But I mean, I was like, but we're a pretty good young team. That's just like right there. You just got to see who's here to stay and who. All right, we're gonna bundle up and you let them go, or we're gonna package it for a young person or some disgruntled player that's like, you know, I thought we should have tried to get Mitchell. That was me, just because I'm like, we got Rozier, so let's just get a better version of that. And I felt like if we would have had Mitchell, I was like, oh, we would have made a playoff. Even LaMelo would have got hurt. And he would have sure up all that stuff for Bridges. Bridges really threw a hamper and everything, and that's why this is, again, a tested year where, like, last year would have probably been it. But then again, we wouldn't have got Brandon Miller either. So, maybe, I was like, so, hindsight, maybe it was also a blessing in disguise. Anyway, another day of talking about the Hornets. So, you like this little, I guess, thought process. I appreciate it. Thanks. If not, hey, maybe next time. But until then, peace. I'm out.